Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Our race is actually underway just now. So, what item do you think we're gonna see at the
Family
Uncle?
heirloom, an old cape maybe.
Nope. All right. So this is standard mode. If you're new to this tournament just started yesterday, so I figure maybe some people here are new. But it does come with a twist. That twist is that the Uncle doesn't actually give you a sword guaranteed. It could give you any number of weapons that can actually get you through the castle into Zelda.
And some much more useful than others, I think, as well. 10 bombs is definitely on the cards for these runners at the minute.
Yep. Today we're getting a red cane, which is actually a really nice starting item. It's
Yeah,
an item,
that's not bad.
yeah, it's an item I love to see early on because I find it incredibly easy to forget about, especially if you're like an hour into the seed and you think you might want to go into Turtle Rock.
Yeah,
But,
it's one of those required go mode items that it's nice to know that you don't have to look for it at some point later in the game.
mhm. It's also great for killing these guards. It uses very little mana, and the block itself can hit, I believe, up to 5 times before it dissipates.
And there's
You can also
Spacecowboy with
trigger.
his bomb drop as well there, just out in the courtyard.
Yep. So yeah, a good strategy in this intro part of the game is, like you said, to try and find a bomb. Some weapons are easier than others to get a bomb drop. If you have the bow, you can start with 30 arrows and you can kill basically as many guards as you come across.
Yeah, I do find the
bomb
best strategy for getting a bomb drop is to actually get 10 bombs, but then that sort of the damage you can do is then very limited.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to be really accurate with your bombs. I believe in this mode they actually upped the starting count to 15.
I think that was actually backed out a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think it's at least the one I did the other day. You get 10 bombs to start with, and then if you die before you reach Zelda, I think you're restarted with 10 bombs, and then afterwards it's between Zelda and the sewers, it's 5, and then post sewers it's 3, just to make sure you can always actually complete the section.
Okay. But getting a bomb is important specifically because there is a bombable wall at the end of this segment, and there are 3 chests inside there. Oh, we find our moon pearl here. So,
that is a very nice find.
Yeah, Dark World access is coming along nicely. Anyway, that room has 3 chests in it, which could very easily have your first available glove in it. And if you don't manage to bomb that wall and pick up that glove, you would have to come back through the sewers like once more.
Yeah, and that's a time loss that I think they're going to be trying their very hardest to avoid.
Yeah, and Space Cowboy and Trenter both now have a bomb, so as long as they don't mess up with the placement of the bomb, or I've seen it happen where a player has had like only one bomb and they somehow they got hit by a rat or something in that room and dropped the bomb.
Oh, it's so unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah. So these runners are probably pretty happy with themselves right now. They both have the ability to enter that room. And we're pretty close now. Both of the runners have gotten Zelda. They're on their way out. There's pretty much nothing you have to do except make your way outside the same way you came. The only difference is you're going to have to go north once you hit the main foyer.
I think this is the section where the no major glitches runners are actually going to have a bit of an advantage compared to the, dare I say, vanilla rando runners, because they're going to be very attuned to the normal speed techniques of just getting through the game as fast as possible. So things like pumping will definitely give garner a small advantage in the early game at least.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I believe a good NMG time to finish escape, like go through the final door and initiate that cutscene, is about 6 minutes. In Randomizer, though, it's oftentimes pretty unlikely that you're going to get that 6-minute window. The reason being is that you're going to be spending more time, killing guards and checking that side room.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's so much more important to get a bomb than it is to save 30 seconds in the sewers. Those up to 3 items in that cave can be super useful, especially if you get something really crucial like the hook shot or a sword upgrade, something really good in the early game.
We're having a bit of a issue with the restream right now. Oh, it's coming back. Great. So yeah, our runners are now going through the dark sewers. In the open mode tournament, you often saw runners come through here and they couldn't actually see anything, but considering this is standard mode, you still get that free light cone even if you don't have the lamp with you. So that's good. You still need the lamp to see in dark rooms outside of the sewers, however.
Yeah, it's something about the raining effect outside. I think is whenever you get the free light cone, which sort of goes away after you get through the sewer section.
So we're going to be depositing Zelda here in the sanctuary. Both of our runners are actually incredibly close, ending with a 6:37-ish time.
Yeah, that's not bad at all for whenever you factor in the bomb forming they had to do in the early castle.
Mm-hmm. So we found a shovel, which both of these runners are probably going to check almost immediately after finishing Kakariko. Got a bit of a sync going on, too. Looks like Space Cowboy is opting not to check Lumberjack Cave, whereas Trenter is opting to actually go up north here. Space Cowboy will be checking the woods, however.
I wonder if we could see something very nasty in Lumberjack Cave. That would be very unfortunate for Space Cowboy if he missed out on that knowledge.
Yep, and it looks like our crab prize pack is arrows, which, it's alright.
I mean, it's no 8 bomb drop like.
We get our first shield in the woods. Space Cowboy opts not to pick it up, but he does opt to pick up this heart container. Early on, heart containers can be a bit of a commodity. You never know when you're going to come across a seed that requires you to do something weird like go into the dark world almost immediately.
Yeah, and especially with some bosses in the Dark World, like Blind's lasers or the spikes and moth, dealing 1 heart of damage no matter what armor you have. That's going to be something you definitely want to stock up on just in case.
Yep. So at about 8 minutes, Space Cowboy's going to be entering Kakariko, the first person to do so, but again, he did skip out on that lumberjack tree. Going to be seeing what's inside Blind's side. He does have that 8 bomb drop, as you said. So no worries on bombs, at least not for the time being. Interestingly enough, decides to check this chest first before the other 4.
Yeah, and is rewarded with a piece of heart for his troubles. I've not actually seen that before. That's quite an unusual route to take through here. Half magic is lovely, though.
Yeah.
Much better than 20 rupees, anyway.
Yeah. And the ice rod. Huh.
So that's 2 potentially trolly items taken out fairly early with the red cane and the ice rod.
Yeah. And now watch, it's going to be Turtle Rock is a pendant.
Oh, you can almost guarantee it.
But the ice rod is actually a nice weapon if we have to go to, say, Landmolus first. And Trenter actually did not have bombs entering Blind's hut, so they'll probably be back sooner rather than later. We know that it's not necessary to come back here, but they don't.
And that was a very quick map check there from Trenter. I completely missed what was on there.
Well, looks like we have one of our important crystals at Eastern Palace and an unimportant pendant at Tower of Hera. And Desert is just a normal crystal.
And there's the first lift upgrade there from the bottle vendor. Best spend of 100 rupees you'll ever have.
Yeah, it's a pretty reasonable price, I think.
I mean, you would pay more if you had to.
I've definitely had to in certain games. Certain extortionists in the Northeast.
Of course, the bottle vendor is only the apprentice whenever it comes to extortion in this game.
Oh, so Trenter finds our hammer. That is Dark World access. Now, will either of these players actually go into the Dark World right now? It looks like Trenter is opting not to. Might not be entirely comfortable with the Dark World at 4 hearts and green mail, but Space Cowboy might actually do it.
And then having the hammer as well means that blind is completely completable.
Yeah, but hammer blind is probably the worst the worst one. In fact, I would rather do red cane blind, which they have. Like, red cane blind is, at least you don't have to get anywhere near him.
Yeah, it's a shame. It looks like we're not going to see it, at least for now. It's always a shame when you don't see a required item in the library, because you're not sure then if you're going to get boots at all. At least if you have something important there, you know there's a fair chance of getting boots reasonably early.
Nothing good at the shovel spot, unfortunately. The shovel does have some utility if you're low on resources like bombs or arrows, but that's about it after you check that location.
And plus, shovel dashing is one of the most visually appealing things that you can possibly do in this game. Useless, but very, very appealing.
You can also soft lock doing it, but
I did not know that.
It's only if you do it out of the digging game. Like if you dash off the screen. Alright, so we're going to be seeing the South Shore on Trenner's side, and probably on Space Cowboy side as well. I was kind of hoping for a bit more route divergence, but I definitely understand these runners not wanting to head into the Dark World right away.
No, and especially whenever you have the mini Moldorm cave as well, that's quite an abundant stretch of items for how close it is to a respawn point.
Mm-hmm.
It's whether or not they bother to go and check Ice Rod Cave will be a question, given that there's such riches available in the Dark World should they choose to go.
Yeah. I am a little surprised that neither of them decided to visit Hype Cave and maybe head over to towards the digging game. But yeah, Trenner is still out of bombs. So looks like Mini Moldorm Cave is going to be out of the picture unless the stun prize is bombs. Which it isn't.
Oh, and it's just 5 rupees.
Yeah, Space Cowboy has quite a few bombs comparatively. Trenter,
I'm not actually sure where he's going. Is he fake flippering?
Ah, okay. Alright, that was a pretty decent setup for fake flippers.
So
Space Cowboy is inside Mini Moldorm.
And so Trenter then is going to go up and get the item from Hobo and then possibly check what's on Lake Hylia. And then because he has the Moon Pearl, he can take the Whirlpool Warp up and check the Zora Waterfall as well and get the 2 items from in there.
Yep. Now, it really depends on if Trenter is able to do the fake flippers from the Hobo.
In the meantime, Space Cowboy's picked up his first sword from Mini Moldor Cave, so he is now armed to the teeth and raring to go.
Yeah, and that will also make blind a lot easier too. Trenner's having a little bit of trouble with this fake flipper setup. You basically need to be. You can't be fully aligned with it. You have to be slightly north of where it would intersect your sprite.
And there he gets it there. I always find it's funny as well. You have to be lower down than you think you have to be vertically, because if you're too high up, you don't seem to jump as far. So if you don't know what you're doing and you just try it, you could be thinking, oh, I need to get further. Whenever you need to go further back as opposed to closer to it.
Yeah, it's also... Oh, there's Ether on the island there.
that is potentially a pain in the bum to go and get.
Yeah, it's also potentially required. Or potentially not required. We don't really know yet. The thing about the hobo fake flippers, it's actually possible to soft lock the game there as well. If you decide to try to jump downwards instead of to the right. But I
Another
figure
thing I
anybody
didn't know.
Yeah, I think anybody who learns the strat probably just doesn't try to jump downward. We do get our Dark World map check. Space Cowboy's side. Looks like Palace of Darkness is our green pendant. Also looks like...
And Sorrel Edge has got only 10 arrows, so they're not going to be going out of the way to go up there again for a while, I don't think.
Yep. Let's see, Hype Cave. So far, not so great. Still not great. Oh, flippers, that's good. Cape and a mail upgrade. That's reasonably hype, I think.
Yeah, I would call that a reasonably grown-up Hype Cave. Very adult of it.
The cape, we already know we don't need it. The only situation, or sorry, we don't need it to enter the Dark World or get into, say, the Pyramid Fairy. The only situation in which it might be required is if it's something is on the bumper ledge.
And also potentially Spike Cave if the runners have enough health and magic whenever they go up to Death Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Stumpy has got the bow.
So that opens up Palace of Darkness for us. They still would need the lamp for the logic, but I don't see any reason to wait for the lamp before going to Palace of Darkness.
Oh, I think I can see, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turtle-shaped reasons why you would want to wait for the lamp before you go in there?
Fair enough.
Although I guess if you practice it enough, it's completely possible. I've definitely seen people do it. It's just it's something I would tend to avoid. I'm not a fan of turtle hunting in the dark.
So as we said before, Trenter is actually having to visit this blindside as well, or once again. Not going to find anything of use in here, but still bringing some ease of mind, knowing that that location is no longer in their, I don't know, vision.
It would be one of those things that you would remember that you forgot about it very late on, and then you'd be sort of maybe heading for a very important item or something, and you'd be thinking, I wonder, do I have to go all the way back there and check it?
Mm. Also having to check this as well.
And Space Cowboy looks to be heading over towards Eastern now.
Yeah, I like this play. Both Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness do require that, lamp to finish for the logic, but...
Well, certainly the Eastern Palace Dark Rooms are relatively easy compared to others in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the old man's torture chamber has got a stash of money and an arrow upgrade.
Yep, Space Cowboy's gonna probably be finishing the dungeon. And maybe even heading downwards into the Dark World portal to get to Palace of Darkness. Palace of Darkness is a pendant in this scenario, but I don't know. I never want to leave pendant Palace of Darkness.
No, there's a decent number of items that you can get out of there, even if you don't go all the way to completion.
Mm-hmm. It's what, 5 items, and then green pendant could add an additional 1 on top of that. So Trenter is like kind of gotten into a bad way compared to Space Cowboy just by not having bombs. Like,
it's very, very unfortunate.
Trenter doesn't have a sword yet, which would have been alleviated by having bombs for Mini Moldarm Cave. Yeah. Doesn't have flippers from Hype Cave or the cape. Oh, there's our second mail upgrade in the brewery.
That's very nice, and that's definitely something that Space Cowboy is going to check whenever he heads around there for sure. So he's definitely going to get red mail.
Yeah, hopefully Trenter decides to head south after maybe doing, Thieves Town and going through the Stump Kid to get his bow, and then maybe he can, visit Hype Cave, grab the flippers, and then maybe make his way off to Palace of Darkness.
Although opting to head into the Thieves Town dungeon now, with hammer, ice rod, and red cane as his methods of damage, it's going to make for one interesting blind fight.
Yeah, I do like red cane. I don't know this for certain, but I think if you have optimal strats with the red cane, it's about as fast as with the sword. Don't quote me on that, though.
You heard it here first, folks. Rubel says red cane as fast as sword.
With optimal strats.
Small print. Nobody reads that anyway. And Space Cowboy is heading now into the second dark room in Eastern Palace.
Yep. Opting to skip there. This is probably my least favorite dark room in the game.
Yeah, he's being very smart though. He's shooting eyes at the statues whenever they're frozen and can't take damage, so we can see whenever they start moving towards and they'll be vulnerable again, and can see where they are as well in relation to approximately where he is. It's a very smart play there.
Unfortunately, taking the death.
Oh, that's painful.
Doesn't have a fairy to revive as well. So this is actually, I think, what Trenter needed to gain some ground.
Yeah, it gives him a good couple of minutes of grace to get back into it.
Yeah. That room is incredibly treacherous because not only do you need to correctly position yourself, but you also need to avoid triggering the other, what are they called?
Yeah, Igors, I think they are. I had a moment there where I completely forgot and just called them statues.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a senior moment as well. Anyway, Space Cowboy's making good work. I always love that skeleton room, the Stalfos room, with the throwing pots at him. It's always one of my favorite tricks to execute.
Yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction. Oh! Meanwhile, over on Trenter's screen, he picks up the silver arrows. So that is an excellent find. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the bow to use them, which is unfortunate for him. But then nobody's going to want to use the bow against blind anyway, so it's not going to help him out just yet. He could still pick it up before it becomes useful.
If Trenter decides to go south towards Hype Cave, he'll definitely be picking up the bow. And I don't see any runner deciding to skip out on checking, Stump Kid for too long. But Space Cowboy did actually make it through the dark room this time, and is going to be finishing off Armos.
And in the meantime, Trenter is heading up to pick up the atrociously guarded prisoner blind. And you have to wonder why there was an open treasure chest with potentially tools left in a prison cell where they're trying to keep somebody supposedly locked up.
Yeah.
I've got the magic hammer in here before, and you just wonder, why have you locked them in a room with a hammer?
And Trenter having found a sword in Thieves Town, it looks like. So we can actually get an easy blind fight. Space Cowboy doesn't have the silver, so his Armos fight will actually be a little bit slower. Doesn't look like he's going for a quick kill. But yeah, Trenter will have a bit of an advantage going into Armos.
Unfortunately, he missed killing the final Armos statue before it went into the red state. So it's a health refill and extra movement for it, but he takes care of it no problem. And fairly respectable 25 minutes for our first crystal.
Yeah. It's a lot easier than Key Sanity sometimes. Which I'm sure a lot of viewers are used to at this point.
Personally, I don't think I have the mental capacity to deal with a Key Sanity run. This is too many things going on for me to deal with. Oh, and there's the blind fight. Trenter has finished the blind fight.
Yeah, the fight went a little bit off the rails at first. It wasn't an optimal first phase, but was able to pull it off. Did have blue mail, so it reduced some of the damage. Fireballs never get their damage reduced, but blinds, hugs are a bit less meaty.
So Space Cowboy looks as though he's going to go and take a nosy at the front end. Oh no, he's not. He's heading back. Sorry, I thought he was actually in the Dark World there. That's completely my fault. I apologize.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Space Cowboy actually does go into Skullwoods.
Vanilla Fire Rod is always a possibility.
It's one of the, trolliest possible things the sea can throw at you is putting an enemy in its vanilla location.
But with such a front-heavy seed in terms of items that these runners have got, I would not be surprised at all if it started hiding some of the last important items in very unusual and not commonly checked places.
So yeah, just to get some confirmation, both of the Light World crystals are actually our important red crystals. So we'll need Desert Palace access before we can even think about visiting the Pyramid Ferry. And Trenter is actually going south, so Trenter will be grabbing the bow.
That'd be a big relief for Trenter when he picks that up.
I'm wondering if Trenter's gonna decide to go all the way over to Palace of Darkness.
As long as he stops by Hype Cave in the way.
That's like that's always gonna happen. Nobody wants to let Hype Cave linger for too long. You might say they're hyped to check it.
Well, I think he's going to be very hyped whenever he gets his, I think it's a mail upgrade coming from there. Mail upgrade and the cape. I think the first sword was from Mini Moldorm. Yeah. Has Trenter been to Mini Moldorm Cave yet then? I don't think he has.
Nope, not yet.
Oh, he's going to be so excited.
Yeah, if he had the mirror, he could definitely visit there, but fortunately, he's going to have to either decide to go towards Palace of Darkness or save and quit. Which, yep, that's what we're doing.
I wouldn't be surprised then to see a Mini Moldorm Cave check and then off to Eastern. Now that he has the silver arrows, he'd be thinking, I could get that fairly quick.
It looks like we're going to be heading into Eastern Palace, just like Space Cowboy did.
I wonder, has he forgotten that he didn't check it, or have I forgotten that he's checked it, or is he just so excited to be going to kick some Armo's bum that?
I think it's just a pretty common thing to do, to just go into dungeons you can complete rather than going into overworld that might not have any value, especially considering Eastern Palace is a crystal and a red crystal at that.
And this is why I don't race.
I mean, I personally would have gone back to Mini Moldorm Cave, but I can see why you wouldn't do it. Space Cowboy is going to have Master Sword leading up to Blind. It doesn't really help him for Blind, but it will help him, fighting the Horsehead Knights. Lizard Knights, I don't know what they're called.
I haven't a clue either.
I think their name starts with a D or something. But
Let's call them red and blue dudes.
That describes like half the enemies in this game.
It's a very useful phrase.
Oh, Zazax. Right. And Space Cowboy finding the silver arrows, being pretty happy about that. I'm honestly waiting for one of these runners to actually go into Palace of Darkness, because I think that's where our progression is.
Yeah, and if they have a map of the darkroom maze handy on a second screen or tucked away in the corner, if they haven't even committed it to memory, it can be. I mean, I think you can get you can actually. It's possible to get all of the items from Palace of Darkness without actually beating Helmasaur King or going into the basement.
Well, you can get everything.
Do the dark rooms.
Yeah, you can get everything except for what Helmasaur King has, but again, Palace of Darkness is a green pendant in this case. So if Helmasaur King has an item, Helmasaur King actually has 2 items. So I definitely would want to hit that up if I had the ability to do the dark rooms.
I mean, even if they happen to find a fire rod on the way, that would at least because there's a couple of torches in the most difficult dark room down there with the turtles. So if you can manage to get one of those lit, then you're absolutely flying.
Yeah, I'm thinking mirror, or maybe hook shots and lamp in Palace of Darkness. That's my prediction.
Let's keep a wee note of that then. I'll owe you a $5 by the end of this run.
Alright, so Trenter also has to do this dark room here. We'll see if he's able to pull it off. Whereas Space Cowboy is going to be heading into the blind fight. Interestingly enough, switching to the red cane.
I did think for a minute, I was hoping against hope that we were going to see a red cane fight, just so I could see what it looked like. I've never seen one.
Oh wow, this is eesh. Trenter takes a death in this dark room here in Eastern Palace, unfortunately. Same as Space Cowboy, so it's kind of a wash in terms of their abilities.
We did see a red cane, or some red cane damage anyway. He threw a block of blind and demoed it when he was transitioning from north to south, so that was nice to see.
We had a fairly flawless first 2 phases of blind there. It went a little bit off the rails at the 3rd phase, but Space Cowboy was able to pull it off.
So the question is he going to make the pod play? Although we think he's going to do a wee around. Looks like he's going north anyway, and maybe check and see what's on Bumper Cave. In fact, he could do Bumper Cave now actually, because he has.
Yeah. He
has the cape, and you don't need the hook shot if you can stick to the upper ledge of the gap.
Now I'm wondering, does he go into? Oh, there's Bombos. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna pick that up.
I'm revising my prediction. It's Mitz in Palace of Darkness, with the next actual goal being Ice Palace.
Oh, not Ice Palace. I am not a fan of Ice Palace. It always seems to be required.
Well, it's especially required in this.
Even when it's blue pendant, it still seems to be required. But going in without the hook shot, you may hope you can bomb jump, or they get an early key.
So Space Cowboy is going into Skull Woods, the first runner, I believe, to actually do so. Trenter is still having issues with this dark room, unfortunately. Must not have learned the strat to, hit the Igor with an arrow.
Yeah, and he's down up. I think that's a second death there. Is he going to go for a third, or is he going to just move on with his life and come back whenever he finds a light source?
Looks like we're trying a third time. This is a pretty big time sink. Trenner really needs to hope that that he gets it this time.
Yeah, because Space Cowboy is certainly looking confident going through Skull Woods anyway. He's having no such bother. Although he did die there once himself. And some very nice damage avoidance there of the red dude, whose name I can't recall off the top of my head. But just dropping down the hole, appearing at the door and heading back out it. So a nice enemy avoidance and time save combined into one. And chat saying they think that Trenter managed to unlock the door that time. So if he did, and in fact he doesn't have a key, so if he picked up a key then he did unlock it. That's going to make it an awful lot easier getting through this room because he can just head up and get out.
Yep, looks like exactly that. And unfortunately for Space Cowboy, no such luck in Skull Woods. Are we going to be heading over to Palace of Darkness?
Yeah, we also have enough rupees for a Zora check, so he might be thinking that he'll head up that direction because I don't think he's done the waterfall chest or seen what's on the ledge.
That is true. He hasn't done any of this, so as far as Space Cowboy is concerned, this could have his progression. We've seen more or less everything here except for what Zora has. So Space Cowboy, as you said, will be able to, reveal new ground.
See what King Zora, bringer of disappointment, has for us today anyway.
And Trenter's going to be having a bit easier of a Armos fight.
Now, Armos and Vitreous are two bosses I absolutely love to see demolished with silver arrows, because it takes no time at all compared to a non-silver variety. It's just a wonderful thing to see, and he takes care of them absolutely no issues at all.
So, where does Trenter go next? Does Trenter... looks like he's just saving and quitting. I'm a little surprised neither of these runners have decided to head into Palace of Darkness yet.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most item dense locations that they can access right now. So it's getting to the stage where it sort of makes sense to go there, even if there's less of a chance just in the sheer volume of items that could be picked up.
Trenter's going to be catching up in terms of the mini Moldorm cave. Going to be getting the Master Sword. And with the Fighter Sword in hand, at least these mini Moldorms will likely not pose too much trouble.
Although, interestingly, he's opting not to use it.
Bomb strats, I mean, you have a lot of bombs. Might as well just throw them. You have to walk all the way over there if you just have Fighter Sword.
Oh, the disappointment is real from King Zora.
Yep.
Oh, I felt that one for him. I really did.
And unfortunately for Trenner, I believe he also still needs to walk over to the Ice Rod Cave. So Space Cowboy, taking out the hammer, looks like he's going to be going into this Dark World portal. The question is, does he go towards Palace of Darkness or not? We also haven't seen, I believe, Pyramid or Catfish as well, so maybe that might be on the menu too.
Yeah, that's correct. And if you're heading to Pod from here, you may as well do a quick Pyramid check while you're there. Catfish is a little less accessible, especially without boots as well. It takes a good bit longer to check. It's not such of a drive-by item check.
Yeah, anybody that knows me knows I'm a firm proponent of checking Catfish. So I'm going to be grossly disappointed if either of these runners decide to not do that. I believe Trenter was just trying to decide what to do next. Wondering if we're going to be seeing Palace of Darkness on his end. We started Sanctuary, interestingly enough.
Oh, pyramid check was absolutely worthwhile doing.
Even more of a reason to go to Palace of Darkness, right there.
Just go east.
Yeah. Trenter is... Where is Trenter going? Oh, to the mountain. This is an interesting play. It's a sequence break for him, as far as he
There's not
knows.
very much he can do up there as well. He can check. He can get the item from the old man, and he can check what's on the top of Spectacle Rock and get the item inside Spectacle Rock. But I think that's all he has access to without the mirror or the hook shot at this point.
Right. Correct. So yeah, it's I think Trenter might be feeling a bit behind. Rightfully so, with those deaths at Eastern Palace, and the early game troubles with bombs. So I'm thinking this might just be a gamble, a bit of a gamble.
And it does net him an extra resume from a save and quit and restore points. So that can be very, very useful to have if he finds a hook shot somewhere. He can just teleport straight up there near enough.
Right.
Your best friend's holding out on you though. Only a heart container from Catfish. No progression there.
Yeah, I mean, can't win them all. But I mean, in this seed, we don't even necessarily need the flute. So the only reason why you don't necessarily care about that save and quit spot is if you have the flute, and we don't necessarily flute could very well be in GT Big Chest.
It absolutely could be. It would be a shame, but it definitely could be.
There's our first bottle on the mountain inside Spectacle Rock. Trenter's actually going to go grab it. I'm wondering if Trenter's going to go directly to Sick Kid. It's going to be quite a bit of time investment just to check one item.
You could combine that maybe with a trip to SeaWorlds and Skull Woods, but we know there's nothing that he can really access right now.
Mm-hmm. Space Cowboy is opting to go up the mountain as well. Similarly, does not have access to anything but those two items and vision of a third.
Yeah, I get the feeling that both of these runners are trying to do everything they can to avoid going into pod.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
which is a real shame.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's standard mode. It's a bit more reasonable to expect that you could avoid going into pendant dungeons, but let's face it, you're gonna have to go into pendant dungeons.
Yeah, I think if you start with the mindset that I'm probably gonna have to go in here, it takes a lot of the mental anguish away from thinking, oh, should I go in or should I check the overworld? You just sort of go, well, there's more items in there than there is outside, may as well. And Trenter's heading up now to go and get his piece of heart. Not even a full heart container, his 500 rupee piece of heart from Zora.
I definitely paid 500 rupees for a piece of heart in a Zelda game before. Maybe that's the going rate. I don't know.
I think you were had. I think somebody saw you coming. Now, if we're talking a full heart container, that's no question. Absolutely pay for that. Although, if you have 3 heart containers, getting a piece of heart is actually more valuable than getting a full heart, unless it's a sanctuary heart, because it will refill you up to your full life. So a correctly timed piece of heart can be incredibly advantageous.
Mm-hmm. So Space Cowboy really doesn't want to go to Palace of Darkness, it seems.
No, he does not.
Going to Sick Kid. Trenter, on the other hand, might be doing the Pyramid Catfish check. Hopefully we'll be going into Palace of Darkness unless Space Cowboy is actually correct here.
A pyramid pod combo would make a lot of sense, especially because you find the lantern or lamp, pick one, on the pyramid.
I think I like Lant. That's pretty good.
The magic lant.
Nothing at Sick Kid, so that sequence break didn't really pay out for these runners.
No, it's often a lot more valuable doing that sequence break whenever you have access to East Death Mountain, because there's an awful lot more goodies you can get that way.
Oh, there's another location. Wasn't even thinking about this. We got the powder way back in the castle. I'm pretty sure as well we were having some technical difficulties. But yeah, that powder lets us check this magic bat.
Oh, no progression there.
So it's got to be Palace of Darkness, right?
Yeah, I mean the signs are all there. You have the hammer, you have the lamp, you got a couple of bombs. May as well.
And more importantly, nowhere else is available or
Yeah.
or has already been checked.
No, and you're going in there with Red Mail Master Sword. You're not going to feel too vulnerable.
Now, I believe there's one location on the map we haven't seen yet, and that is Agina's Cave.
I had completely forgotten, but Trenter is actually making the pod play. Having just enough rupees to do it, actually.
Space Cowboy is opting to go into Agina's Cave. Wow. Did Palace of Darkness hurt Space Cowboy in the previous seed?
Did somebody lock him up there in a previous run that didn't let him out?
Do we need like a support group or something to get the runners over these, fears?
The Turtle Rock or the Palace of Darkness Trauma Center.
So yeah, Trenner, the first runner to visit Palace of Darkness. It's been available to our runners for quite some time. So Space Cowboy is just getting burned, just getting the arrow upgrade. Trencher is on the right path.
Interestingly, this actually puts Trencher now at a bit of an advantage compared to Space Cowboy, despite having a couple of deaths. I mean, as if he sort of ignores the rest of the overworld and doesn't go out of his way to check overworld locations, he's actually in a very good position, very strong compared to where he was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, one thing that Space Cowboy does have that advantage in is the Bombos Medallion.
Potential advantage.
If we do find the mitts in here, which I'm not saying we're gonna find them in here, but we're gonna find them in here. I'm assuming Ice Palace is next on the docket.
Making good use of that magic powder that he found way back at the start of the seed anyway, just to get some extra health while he's waiting on the bomb to explode.
Space Cowboy, after having exhausted literally everything else he could do at this point, is now heading into Palace of Darkness.
Oh, and he'll kick himself if he finds something good in there. And at this point, there has to be something. Oh, there it is. As if on cue.
Now, will either of these runners just leave after finding the boots? Because I think there's something else in here.
Yeah, I would stay. For sure, I would stay. I mean, you're already in the place. We get some hype and chat for the boots.
Yeah. We also have a bit of a witch in chat. So one thing that I learned sort of recently, in the past, I guess, few months, and I just love saying, is the routing in Palace of Darkness can be modulated based on how many small keys you see. So essentially speaking, the front side of Palace of Darkness is always going to have at least 4 small keys. And say you find 4 small keys in all the chests in the front side of Palace of Darkness, or even 3 small keys and you don't check, say, the vanilla big key chest. That means you know implicitly that there is only a small key in that big key chest and you don't have to check it. So that's really good knowledge. Conversely, if you find 4 small keys in the front half, there are only 2 small keys in the back half, and the only places that can have keys in the back half are the parts on the right side. Nothing in the dark maze or the big chests can have small keys. So if you clear, say, the compass room chest, I think it's the compass room, and then the 2 basement chests in the rupee rooms, and you find only 1 small key, then you know that the the harmless hellway has a small key, and you can skip that as well.
Another thing I'm learning from you today. This is brilliant.
Yep.
I hope everyone who's watching is taking notes on that.
Trenner's opting to go through the dark maze first, interestingly enough. Actually grabs the big key. I did not find the big key earlier, which is why I was a bit surprised to see this.
That was a
routing.
gamble that paid off for sure.
Still
Doesn't seem to know his way around the maze. Or else got so excited at seeing the big key that he just doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit weird because unless he decides to do a death warp, he's gonna have to walk back out. Unfortunately, nothing great in this dark maze.
No, I'm starting to get worried now that there's going to be something hidden under Bonkrock, because we know that the library, I think, had an empty bottle on it, so there's nothing exciting there that the boots have opened up.
So yeah, maybe it is just boots. I don't know. There's our compass. There's another small key, and that means that we do have something. It could be... I haven't actually been counting items or in this dungeon. It could be the map, or it could be another dungeon item.
I think he picked up the map already.
Okay, so boots is our progression. Fortunately, I've been proved a liar.
There's still Helmasaur.
Oh, that is true.
And Helmasaur does give the green pendant as well.
Ooh. That is right.
And that would be devious.
I want to make it clear that when I said that the mitts were in this dungeon, I included the green pendant in with that. Just FYI.
I don't think anyone would hold that against you.
This chat has been doing a much better job of counting items as I have, at least. To have 2 items potentially from Helmasaur. Well, 2 items from Helmasaur, including that green pendant.
Yeah, always good to have the accountability of chat in the background just to make sure you can't say anything wrong.
And with the silver arrows in hand and red mail, I don't think these runners are going to have any trouble with Helmasaur.
No, I think you'd be very surprised as well with the number of hearts they have too. Even if they had blue or green mail, they could take a couple of hits.
So the question is Space Cowboy going to do a death warp? Or is Space Cowboy going to just leave the dungeon and just assume that the boots is the progression? Because it doesn't look like he's been setting up for a death warp. Looks like I guess he's just going to walk backwards through the dark maze.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to set up for a death warp whenever you have red mail and 10 hearts.
Space Cowboy is not taking the bait with the boots.
He probably just thinks if he's gone through the mental anguish of having to come here in the first place, he's going to make damn sure he clears it out in the first run. It's traumatic enough for him to think about going the first time.
Yeah. So, assuming we don't need Bombos, and even maybe if we do, Trenter does have actually a bit of an advantage now.
Yeah, it very much depends on what he does next. If he goes for anything the boots have opened up, or if he goes back and checks the locations that Space Cowboy has already checked.
Yeah, and also Green Pendant. We don't have the mirror in hand yet, so.
Yes, it's not a bit. Oh, you say that.
So
he couldn't have predicted
the mirror
that.
in hand. Yeah. With
How
the mirror in
awfully
hand, we can
convenient.
actually check that.
And that opens up the first half of Swamp Palace as well, I believe.
Uh-oh. Trenter opted not to turn in the green pendant.
Oh.
You just got the mirror. That's like the blinking red light saying, hey, But that does, yeah, as you say, it opens up swamp, but we don't have the hook shot yet to complete it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, in his bio, Trenter has mentioned that he actually hates linear seeds, so perhaps he's thinking that he's just not going to go where the seed is telling him to go, and he's going to go wherever he damn well feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Going for a completely rando style of play.
Yeah, we're going to be heading into the Dark World with Trenter. I'm assuming he's going to be checking Bonk Rocks, the Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb all in one go. It is a little bit interesting, this routing. I mean, the mirror does open up, Graveyard Ledge, and the boots also opens up those two locations, and that's pretty much all the boots opens up to us right now, except for Hookshot Cave.
Oh yes, there's one item up there. Yes, and we can get there now as well because the Tower of Hera now is open to us.
Yep. Trenter will also be able to grab Bombos here as well, so we'll be even up on items. And Space Cowboy is going to have to probably retrace some of his steps if he decides to choose, the Graveyard Ledge anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder, is he going to remember to make the mirror play now and go and redeem the green pendant?
Whoa! Trenter opting to skip Bombos Medallion entirely.
Wow, that is either very, very brave or very, very silly.
That is... Yeah, exactly that. And we're going to be seeing the green pendant reward too. Space Cowboy remembered.
And then Bombos as well being one of the items you can use to get into Ice Palace. So he's effectively saying, I am going to put my faith in the Fire Rod and hope it turns up.
Yeah.
And the green pendant didn't lead to anything. It was another V29 special, the 20 rupee pickup.
Yep. Space Cowboy is a bit lost, but is going to be checking Bonk Rocks at the very least. We'll probably be also going into the Dark Worlds, maybe visiting the same places Trenter is going to right now. The only other options are, the south of the Haunted Grove Ledge and Swamp Palace. We also have Tower of Hera in the mix and East Death Mountain, so maybe, this looks like Space Cowboy's doing that.
Hera being a boring pendant is less attractive an option to go and have a look at.
Mm-hmm. And Space Cowboy opting not to check Lumberjack earlier is going to be able to do this. A lot of runners like to put off the Lumberjack check until they actually have the boots because that's one of the components necessary to get this item. Personally, I don't agree with it, and not opting to go up to the mountain. But we'll be saving and quitting because it's faster.
Yeah, he went up there earlier to check Spectacle Rock.
So we are going to be able to complete Hera. We're going to be able to do the entirety of East Death Mountain.
The question is, though, will they do it if they get the 3 items over in Hera early? It is 3, isn't it, or is it 2? I've had a mind blank.
2.
Because they can get those fairly early, but then of course there is always the danger of a pedestal seed.
Hera is one of, if not the shortest dungeons in this game. If I enter it, I pretty much just finish it unless I'm incredibly close to go mode, or I have reason to believe that I don't need to complete it. So Trenter is... Oh, sorry.
No, I was about to make a reference to Moldorm there, saying that it might be one of the shortest or quickest dungeons in terms of floor space that you have to travel, but whenever it comes to Moldorm, the troll Moldorm, anything's possible. He can hold you up there for a good couple of minutes, knocking you down the holes if he really wants to on a bad day.
Interestingly enough, Trenter, forgetting that you do need the mitts to get to the peg cave. However, Trenter could have mirrored to the light world and checked the magic bat, which I'm pretty sure he hasn't done yet. We are going to be seeing this south of the Haunted Grove ledge, which could be important if it has something great.
Yeah, in the meantime, Space Cowboy has actually picked up the Book of Midora from Hera, so he now has access to the Ether Tablet conveniently right beside him.
Yeah, and Trenter finds a sword upgrade actually in the south of the Haunted Grove ledge, which is actually really good.
That's
I think
really, really nice
Trenter.
pickup for sure. Yeah.
The reason being is now Trenter will definitely have an easy GT Ganon fight. We don't know where the last sword upgrade is, and we don't know when Space Cowboy is going to achieve Go Mode. So, if Space Cowboy were to say, get Go Mode during this trip up Death Mountain...
he may never check the size of Grove, which would be a tad unfortunate for him.
Trenter is also heading up to Hera now as well.
Space Cowboy is opting for the safer strats there to finish off Moldorm, although he does it very well. Manages to not get knocked off, which is always a relief.
Yeah, it was looking kind of sketchy, but did pull it off. Just getting a pendant for his efforts, though. Trenter wants no part of the Tower of Hera right now.
I wonder if he's feeling a little behind and he's thinking that he has to make the risky plays.
Yeah. Well, I think he's definitely feeling behind. If Trenter saw what was on that ledge, I don't know what it was. But so far, the book is not panning out. That does open up desert for us.
Yeah, and then we have the boots and a lantern as well, so we can actually complete desert now, I think.
So it might be our only opportunity to get into desert, and remember, desert is one of our important crystals.
And it was just a 5-bomb upgrade on the floating ledge, so nothing important there.
So progression, with that book, progression can very easily be at the Pyramid Ferry, and Trenter might be missing that for quite some time. Alright, so Trenter's showing us our first look into Paradox Cave. It's looking a little underwhelming so far. Yeah, these are some very risky gambles we're seeing on Trenter's side. He's missing 2 key items, which we don't necessarily know that they're required, but they very easily could be. Getting our mirror shield here in Paradox Cave. And our hook shot.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That was a very good play, actually. Potentially, although still no desert access.
No desert access, but we do have Swamp Palace, which Trenter is definitely going to right now. Like, no question. That's where you go. I know some runners hate Swamp Palace and want to see it burn, but it's a dungeon.
I think everyone has that dungeon that they try and avoid going into if they can help it at all.
I personally love it. I would do like 5 Swamp Palaces in a seed.
I quite like it because it's very linear in the layout, and there's not too many mental gymnastics you have to play to try and figure out what's the best way you can use your keys. Are you going to be locked out by an item or whatever? It's like before you get the hook shot, you can do everything on the left, and then after you get the hook shot, you can do the whole dungeon.
Yeah. I personally like Swamp because if you're trying to play it optimally, and your movement, you're trying to make your movement, go as fast as possible through the dungeon. It just feels so good to be able to hook shot across a gap, and then hook shot through blocks and stuff. Actually, I don't think you can do that in that dungeon.
I do quite enjoy. Oh, there's Space Cowboy has gone and picked up his tempered sword, so he's on an even keel there with Trenter.
Another thing that I like to do in this dungeon, which Trenter might actually do, might not, is like the hammer dash in this room. Hammer dashing through that row of pots is just really satisfying. Fortunately, we're not going to be seeing it, at least on Trenter's side. The Argus fight, if you have the tempered sword and a good foundation in the NMG speedrun, which I don't really have, but I've seen, good runners do this. You can basically zero cycle the first phase of Argus by doing a hook dash, a hook speed dash, and using your sword pokes to kill all the puffers as you're pulling them with the hook shot. It's incredibly difficult to pull off, but it's so satisfying.
It looks amazing whenever somebody does manage to pull it off flawlessly. And in the meantime, Space Cowboys actually has picked up the cane of Burna, Brian, Blue Cane. It's picked up Blue Cane. I think we can all agree that we can pronounce it Blue Cane. And that was from the vanilla Bombos tablet. So no progression hidden there. Because already having the cape, the only thing that we could have used the Blue Cane for, which was Spike Cave, has already been covered since near the start of the game, so it doesn't really get us anything other than a slot filled up in your inventory, unfortunately.
Alright, so Trenter's opting to do left side swamp, which is actually a bit surprising with some of the other gambles we've been seeing.
It's very unpredictable, this runner.
Yeah. A lot of runners do hate doing left side swamp. It's 2 chests, which can very easily contain nothing but dungeon items. And takes a while.
Yeah, thankfully he didn't flood the key in here, though. It's always a moment whenever a runner goes into this room and they flick the switch and you wonder, are they going to be on autopilot? Are they going to flick the switch? Not that I've ever done it personally, of course.
Nope, never. I thought the first time I did it, I thought I had just completely soft locked, maybe not even soft locked, like completely made the seat unplayable until I realized you could just leave.
Yeah, and then it resets itself back. Was that something that was added in because of the rando? I can't recall.
Well, it's impossible to key lock, or it's impossible to flood the key in the vanilla game.
Yeah, I have a feeling I remember reading that's something the reset is something the devs added in.
Right.
So just to make sure that you could recover a seed.
Yeah, I don't think anything in the dungeon water levels ever changed when you left the dungeon in the vanilla game. The water level outside, and I believe the intro water level channel that you have to open the dam for, I think that might be the only thing that drains. Don't quote me on that.
Unfortunately, the west side of Swamp was a no-go in terms of progression. It was 50 rupees and a heart container.
Mm-hmm. I believe in recent patches they made it so if you have to leave the dungeon and come back, certain no-risk water channels remain active even when you leave the screen that Swamp is on and come back.
That's quite nice.
Yeah, so
a quality of life change right there.
Yeah, it makes double dipping Swamp a bit less painful.
I don't think these runners are going to be double dipping this dungeon somehow. Although not finding the big key before the big key chest in the early part of the dungeon is always a bit painful, I find.
Yeah, my policy in this dungeon is if I find any dungeon item in the first 2 chests, or the first 2 chests I can actually have items in it, I will go to the left. If I do not, I will go towards Argus and then double dip the dungeon. But yeah, we're not seeing much of anything here in the swamp, unless I missed something.
No.
We did find, I guess, the blue cane, but... Or wait, no, that was on Bombos.
Yeah, I was in Bombas. No, cash and hearts. So I guess this dungeon loves cash.
Yeah. Unless Argus has something for us, we've all been collectively debated.
We'll certainly continue the hype set by Helmasaur King anyway.
Yeah. And Space Cowboy will have a bit of an advantage because I'm pretty sure Desert Palace is our next play.
Yeah, unless a lift upgrade happens to be on Argus.
Yeah, something, just to, I guess, clarify something in chat. Argus doesn't have to have the big key. The big key can actually be locked inside the big chest in this version of the randomizer. In a lot of special situations, keys can be locked inside of chests or doors, or in chests behind doors that they would otherwise...
Oh, but he does have it in this case, yes, because there is no big key door in Swamp Palace, so it's not necessary to complete the dungeon, so it can be locked inside its own chest.
So it was like a 50-50 to have the big key.
And unfortunately, it was the wrong 50-50 result.
Yep, and Trenter is opting to go back inside, surprisingly. I guess, as far as Trenter is concerned, doesn't really have... He can't go into desert, so...
Yeah, I think because he doesn't have the book, it's a smart play on his part, or a sensible play on his part to go back in and check, because it it still could be progression.
Now the question is, will Space Cowboy go back into Swamp Palace, and will the big chest inside Swamp Palace have anything worth coming back in for? The answer may surprise you. It is the fire rod.
Oh, that's a big play to get that.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, there's one more item left in Skull Woods. That's where Trenter's heading to next.
I think you're right, and there is a crystal up there, so he's gonna go and get it.
Now, will Space Cowboy decide to just leave the big chest, or will we be seeing Space Cowboy even back up on items?
It's going for the supremely irritating silver arrow strats there in Argus, but gets it with the second arrow, which is actually very good.
All right, this is, I think, one of the moments of truth during this seed. If Space Cowboy goes back into Swamp or decides to run off to Desert Palace. And okay, he's going back inside.
He's going back inside. He's going to pick up a Spire Rod and be able to do Skull Woods.
Yeah, but I figure he'll be going into Desert after this, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite close and quite easy. The only reason I could think of that he might want to leave it is if he suspects that the flute might be in Skull Woods, so then you could flute down and check the surrounding mire area at the same time. But then that negates the pickup of the book, so bit of a toss-up.
This is actually Trenter's first dip into Skull Woods, so while it does seem like he has a bit of a time advantage, he does have to retrace some of the steps Space Cowboy did quite a while ago. But on the plus side for Trenter, he does have the Fire Rod and will be able to complete this dungeon.
And then having half magic as well with the Fire Rod is absolutely beautiful when it comes to the Mottula fight, because we all know Mottula is rather unpleasant at times to deal damage to.
Yeah. Space Cowboy heading up into Desert Palace as expected. Pretty good routing, I would say. So we're going to be seeing whether or not Trenter or Space Cowboy back the right horse here. I mean, Space Cowboy's going to eventually be going into Skull Woods, probably immediately after Desert if there's nothing good here, but still.
Yeah, I would think if he finds a lift upgrade in here and can go to Ice Palace, it would make sense to go first, because it's it's closer, it's easier to get to.
Sorry I also forgot that this is a red crystal. So that does open up the Pyramid Fairy for Space Cowboy as well. So before going to Skullwoods, Space Cowboy will probably be checking the pyramid.
And at this stage, it would not surprise me at all to find something interesting there.
You mean like the mitts?
Mitts, flute, and potentially Quake Medallion.
Yep, we know where Ether is. It's on the Hylia ledge. Or not ledge, the island. We don't necessarily need the flutes, but we do need the mitts. So mitts could be our go mode item, I guess.
Yeah, every chance to be.
Which is a little weird. It's kind of uncommon you see mitts as a go mode item.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I'd seen that. They can call them the Mighty Mitts.
Oh, so completely missed it. Trenter actually did pick up the mitts in Skullwood, so...
Oh! Wow, okay. Ooh.
So...
That's very interesting. So each runner has advantages over the other.
Yeah.
This race just got good.
Yeah. And Trenter is still missing any medallion. Trenter does know where two of the medallions are, so we'll probably be seeing the entrance to Turtle Rock soon, just to confirm which medallion we need before Trenter actually goes and gets, you know, the one we actually need. Both of them require a time investment.
Yeah, which would have been significantly smaller had he have picked up Bombos earlier. At least Bombos isn't required to complete Ice Palace, which was a possibility. So the question is then, is Space Cowboy going to use the Fire Rod or the Silver Arrows to tackle Amolas?
Honestly, I like both of them.
Yeah, I think the fire rod, because it's a bit quicker, has a bit more swag to it. But then the Silver Arrows are just cool, collected, and boom, you're down, you're done. And looks like you might be right for Trenter going to make a check in Turtle Rock. Although he has the mitts now, actually, so that's opened up the whole of East Death Mountain.
So I like this play by Trenter because, again, he doesn't have any of the medallions. He needs to know whether or not he's in go mode. Getting a bit trolled by these dead rocks. I haven't seen him that bad in quite some time.
Yeah, coupled with the cabbages as well, that was very unpleasant for him.
The red mail has proven its usefulness, only losing 3 hearts in that whole ordeal.
Red mail by Gucci.
So Space Cowboy is probably going to be heading off to check the Pyramid Fairy, which might be entirely unnecessary depending on what medallion we see, you know, on top of Turtle Rock.
Although it looks like he's going to make the Skullwoods play.
Okay. Might actually just be forgetting that the Pyramid Fairy is open, but, you know, again, it's a dungeon, and it's not really going to get much faster, so I guess I understand this play.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not required, and the mitts aren't required to complete Skullwoods, he's everything he needs to go and do it. Starting from Sanctuary, if it's close, it's right beside the Dark World portal, may as well.
This is actually fairly close in the end. We do need 3 crystals on either side. Neither runner has done Turtle Rock or Ice Palace. Trenter still has to do Deserts, and Space Cowboy just needs to clear out the rest of Skull Woods, which he's already done the front side of.
And I had a bit of lag there just as Turtle Rock was being checked, but I think that looked like Ether. It looked like the tip of Ether.
Yeah, I missed it as well. Our tracker is saying it's ether, so...
Oh, and we know where that is.
Yeah, so Trenter... Ooh, also grabs the flute. That's, Huh. Does Trenter not know he's functionally in go mode?
That rules out needing the book, actually, to get into Desert as well. That's a very, very nice pickup for him.
Oh, that is true. Forgot all about that book. Ugh. So yeah, Trenter now needs to activate the flute, do Desert, pick up Ether Tablet, pick up Ether, and then go into Ice Palace, and then go off and finish Turtle Rock and GT.
Yeah, I think at this point he must know he's in go mode. I hope he recognizes it anyway.
I'm a bit confused. Space Cowboy does not have the mitts? Our mitts were in Skull, weren't they?
Oh, he's gone and he's checking the northern regions in the Dark World. He's checking the Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that. I thought I saw him in Skull Woods, so I was a bit confused as to why he left, unless I just was misremembering. It might have just been...
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying he might have just forgot that those places, or just remembered, I guess, that those places existed and had been, as of yet, unchecked.
Yeah, it seems like a strange play to make, though, whenever you're right at the entrance to a dungeon that you can complete. And that you need to complete as well.
Yeah. So, Space Cowboy will be in go mode here shortly. Trenter is functionally in go mode. We still need to get Ether, but that'll be next up.
And then, yeah, I wonder if Space Cowboy will recognize he's in go mode and then just go and continue to complete dungeons, or if he'll forget and take a trip up to Death Mountain whenever he gets the mitts.
Having half magic here in this fire, like the lamp hallway, with all those Gibdos around, always feels good.
They're so annoying, especially in that room. They just come at you and come at you and come at you. Although Silver Arrows as well. Silver Arrows will take out a Gibdo in one hit, which is a very, very nice alternative if you're running a bit low on magic and you need to get rid of them. Zelda pro tips.
This is actually incredibly close right now. Space Cowboy needs to finish off Mothula, needs to go back inside Skull Woods, grab that chest to get mitts to enter go mode. Trenter, on the other hand, is about to get to Landmolus. They might actually be effectively at the same spot, more or less, depending on how long it takes Trenter to finish off Landmolus.
Yeah, and that'll be quite nice to see as well, because we can get to see accurately measure the difference in the ability of execution of these two runners, as opposed. Oh, that's an unusual check.
Yeah. I personally would have just gone into Skull. I hope Space Cowboy is actually planning on going back into Skull and just hasn't. Okay, that's good. Anyway. So Trenner's opting to use Silver Arrows, unfortunately getting a bit bad pattern. Well, it's not really a bad pattern. It's the first cycle is always consistent, at least where they spawn.
Yeah, the timing though can be a little tricky to get down.
And this is really time Trenner can't afford to be losing. I believe that was at least like 3 or 4 cycles in Landmo 1.
Although it does line us up fairly nicely, actually, for a race into Ice Palace.
Yeah, well, Space Cowboy will be able to go grab Ether and then head into Ice Palace. Now, if you're trying to do this optimally, you'll do Ether first. So hopefully he remembers to do that. And Trenter, on the other hand, wow, it's incredibly close. They're on the same screen. Trenter is maybe about 10 to 15 seconds behind.
Which is absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, really.
Yeah, and both of these runners seem like they have pretty similar levels of execution. I think I might give Space Cowboy a bit of an edge, but Trenter's gambles.
Yeah, he must know something that we don't, because at times it seems a little strange, especially passing up on Bombos. That was brave. That was brave.
That was brave, and Trenter took a bit faster of a route to get to Hilly Island. Oh my goodness, look at that sink.
That's insane. That's actually insane.
Trenter is just
they're
inching ahead.
Oh, they're practically identical. Oh, nearly sink jumping out of the water. That's crazy.
We have a difference of about 1 second, maybe less.
Oh, it's on. This race is absolutely on. I'm getting excited now for this.
Oh, and Chad is bringing up an excellent point. Space Cowboy didn't actually know Ether was required because he didn't actually visit Turtle Rock. So he was just grabbing it because he thinks, he might be in go mode. Now,
so he's going to be taking a risk?
Yeah, he's taking a risk, but the question is, does Space Cowboy clear some of this Ice Palace that he doesn't necessarily have to? And the answer is yes. So Trenter is actually going to be...
Yeah, he's had an advantage based on the knowledge that he has. Although I have to say, if you're Space Cowboy, you're thinking, there's a 2 out of 3 chance I have the right medallion for Turtle Rock.
Yeah.
Maybe I should risk it.
I mean, I always just assume that I have the medallions I need. I never want to spend extra time trying to find a medallion that might not even exist outside of GT. And Trenter is just showing, so far at least, a better Ice Palace execution, and compounding on top of that the fact that he's just going to be in pure go mode, whereas Space Cowboy may decide to check some of the on the way items. He may decide to full clear the dungeon and hope for a medallion.
Yeah, I'm trying to set up for the bomb jump as well, just to try and clear it that extra bit faster.
I don't know if this is... Oh, looks like Trenter got it. That was a pretty... Oh, getting hit by the fire bar. That's
that is painful.
Space Cowboy gets the bomb jump first try. That's kudos to him.
And we're back in sync again.
Trenter needs to hookshot through this fire bar. Space Cowboy gaining ground. Back in the same room.
Absolute turtle or penguin savagery there.
Yeah, I don't know why Trenter decided to do hookshot strats there when he does have the tempered sword. Space Cowboy. Let's see what Space Cowboy does here in this room with these Freezors. He is going to be clearing the room.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you might be missing an item, the length of time it takes to clear that is... It's not worth not doing, on the off chance that the item is actually there.
We're back to about a 1 second difference, even less.
They are rubber banding all over the show.
Trenter is opting to take the safety anti-fairy here, which I don't like. I agree with that play, even though he does have red mail. Was kind of low on health, and cold stare hugs are not the hugs you want to receive.
No, and then I don't think he has a healing item at all either. So a death would be very, very costly at this stage.
Oh yeah, we have only found one bottle in this entire seed so far, and that bottle, you know what was inside it?
Nothing useful.
I mean, a bee can be useful. Let's be real here. But
I have used to be in Mini Mall Drum Cave whenever I ran out of bombs at one stage. Oh, that is very, very nice cornering from Trenter.
yeah, so looks like Space Cowboy had a bit slower of a fight, but Trenter did take the safety that he actually didn't need in the end. So we do have a bit of a disparity again. Space Cowboy, I don't see any reason why he's not going to go directly up to Death Mountain after this. However, Space Cowboy will probably be checking chests that Trenter had already checked along the way.
That's right, because Space Cowboy hasn't opened any of the chests in Paradox Cave. I don't think, or has he?
Trenter might actually be going to buy potions, giving Space Cowboy even more of an advantage in time. Now, whether or not Space Cowboy runs into health troubles in Ganon's Tower, might make those potions, that potion purchase more prescient.
And then even with red mail, those Ganon hugs can't take it out of you. It's nice as well that they've been able to leave Turtle Rock until the end, so it's only a quick hop over to Ganon's Tower as opposed to having to go there earlier to get an item to go out and do another dungeon somewhere somewhere else in the world, and then have to do the ascent again to come back up.
Yep, and Space Cowboy is going to be going into this Dark World portal here at 1:31:21. We'll see what Trenter gets to see where the gap lies right now. And Space Cowboy's breathing a heavy sigh of relief.
You could almost see it.
Upon seeing that lightning bolt symbol. I, for one, don't know why it's a lightning bolt. It's an ice power, not a lightning power, but I didn't make this game.
Yeah, maybe you can make a request for V30 that the ether symbol is replaced by a snowflake.
That would be good. Although I bet on a restream that would be really easy to confuse with with bombos.
Oh yeah. But no, that was, okay, that's very, very good for Space Cowboy there, actually, and picking up a blue potion as the first item in TR, so that sort of renders any advantage that Trenter might have had from going to buy an extra blue potion kind of moot at this point with 12 hearts in red mail and half magic.
We have about a half a minute difference between the two at the moment, maybe a little bit more. Space Cowboy getting that nice hook onto the lamp on the left. Saves a few frames compared to hook shotting in the direction you'd normally be facing, but it does look nice. And I approve of these cane dash strats.
Oh, that's nice.
Some runners seem to think that hookshot strats are faster, but they're clearly wrong.
I would say they're a little trickier to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly from my experience, very tricky to execute.
Yeah, they do save you an item menu, but I think the ability to just dash straight through instead of stopping to hookshot a few times definitely makes up for that.
Yeah, and then a lot of that's going to go on your confidence level as well, because if you're feeling confident, you wouldn't be you'd be up for doing the faster strat, but if you're feeling maybe a wee bit nervous, you've been playing for an hour and a half, a bit tired, hands maybe a wee bit sweaty after the Turtle Rock play, and paying off, you might just opt for the safer strat because you can guarantee a better time.
Mm-hmm. Trenter, interestingly enough, opting to mirror out and re-enter the dungeon instead of walking back through the rolling spikes.
Is that any faster?
No, I mean it's not faster, but it's safer. I think Trenter's a bit concerned for his health at this point.
Maybe the effects of the early deaths are still in his mind.
Ooh, fortunately, messing up a bit in this chain chomp room. One chomp doesn't want to get out of the way anymore.
Oh, they are absolutely not your friend at all.
They are not. Space Cowboy correctly skipping the vanilla big key chest. But then we already have the big key. He's even gonna gamble on the big chest. Now, it's relatively safe to do this if you just grab that small key and then leave before checking the vanilla big key chest, but there is a scenario in which both the vanilla big key chest and the big chest have a small key, and then you have to backtrack the entire way. But Space Cowboy lucks out, just gets a small key there, doesn't even have to do the laser bridge.
I wonder if he thinks he's behind at all, because making the gamble like up to Turtle Rock and then ignoring the big key chest, sort of would lead me to believe anyway that he's feeling a little pressured.
Mm-hmm. Trenter is opting to not skip the big chest, unfortunately giving Space Cowboy more of an advantage. And Space Cowboy is going to be heading into Trinex in short order.
And then Trinex with Tempered Sword is not trivial, I would say. Depending on your skill. I mean, these runners are very, very good. So I don't imagine this giving any problems or having too much ice on the floor and getting knocked about or anything like that.
Yeah. Tempered Sword Trinex is pretty comfy, I must say.
And certainly flawless first half execution.
Mm-hmm. Not even any ice. Just one cycle.
And setting up for the double hit there with the swing. I think he missed the second hit.
Yeah, unfortunately having to get an extra hit in the end, but that's not really gonna cost him much time.
No, I think if something like that was going to cost him time, then this run will be finishing within 3 seconds of each other, and it'd have to be a rematch either way.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Space Cowboy is heading to Ganon's Tower. This is a game we like to play during these randomizer tournaments. To put a number in chat, number has the significance of if it's the number of items, locations that we check in Ganon's Tower, then I guess you win, and you get all the glory that comes with that.
And there's a lot of glory that comes with getting the correct big key game, or big key guess.
And it's 1 to 20, what, 23? 22?
I think it's 22. 22 plus Lantern, I think. Well, there's one first anyway as a 5-bomb upgrade, so that's not the big key, and then there's a small key for the second chest and Hope Room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like we're going to see some right side strats from Space Cowboy.
Yeah. That's a pretty common meta strat, is to go right if you find a small key in one of those first 2 chests, which is actually pretty common.
So people who are guessing numbers based on item locations are could be getting a bit thrown out now.
Oh yes, definitely. In the spring tournaments, the routing across most players was fairly consistent. Nobody ever did this right side business until a certain runner decided to pioneer it. And now it's part of the meta forever. Will never change.
Yes, Tranter then has finished his Trinex fight and is heading over to Ganon's Tower now.
Yep.
So if he heads left first, he'll be cutting down a good bit of the lead that Space Cowboy had established over him.
Yeah. Oh, there's Quake. How about that?
Quake!
And that's why I don't really like to look for medallions I don't know I need.
Yeah, I'm sure Space Cowboy has a very, very good feeling now inside. He's like, I knew it was there.
So yeah, it's basically dependent on Trenter heading left, but unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be seeing a right side. Whether or not it goes to the next item room after this is up for grabs. It does look like Trenter is going to be heading on more or less the same route as Space Cowboy. We could be doing full right all the way to Ice Armos, but that's a pretty uncommon occurrence.
I'm not actually sure I've ever seen that. Oh, okay, there we go there.
Oh, what number is that? Number 12?
Ooh, 11th chest, 12th location maybe?
12th location. I know it's always number 8 if you do the 2 right and then go full left. So I just add the 4 on top of that.
That would be 12 then.
Yep. So if you guess 12, I don't know if anyone has.
I don't think so. I see a couple of 11s, but no 12s. Oh, all that glory's gone to waste.
I don't know. Do we go with Price is Right rules here? Because we do see it. I see an 11, but I also see a few 13s.
I think someone in chat is cheating.
All right, let's just say if you had 11 or 13, you're the big winner.
Okay, you can get all the glory together, add it all up, and then you can fight over it.
Yeah, just divide it by, I think, 3 or 4, however many people were close.
2, I think. I see 2 quickly over a brief thing, but I'm too busy watching this, watching Space Cowboys ascent up Ganon's Tower. That was unexpected.
No, I like that strat. You basically fall, and that gives you the iframes to just dash through all those Ganon balls.
Trenter opting to pick up Quake. Maybe that was an accident?
Maybe. We're also seeing some golden bee strats here in the gauntlet.
I wholeheartedly approve of that strat. Wholeheartedly approve. It makes a lot of sense.
Fortunately, Link is getting to these enemies quicker than the bee can, so it's a bit moot.
And then Space Cowboy making very, very good use of the fire rod there just to finish off that last thing that has a horrible name that began with an X or a Z that I can't remember how to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
The red dude.
I already forgot. Somebody told me the name during this stream, and I've already forgotten it. It's so yeah. Those enemies are so not memorable.
Oh, there. Let's see if I get this pronunciation right. Is it Zizax?
Zizax? Maybe. Space Cowboy is actually taking quite a while in Lenmo 2, so that could give Trenter an opportunity to catch up. This is down to maybe like a few Ganon falls. I don't really like to say to measure things in Ganon falls because it sort of implies that the runners would have to do that. Trenter actually gets stuck on these pegs. Thankfully, he has enough magic for the cane to get him out of that bind.
And Space Cowboy determined to kill those Wizrobes with a block.
Space Cowboy is about to enter the penultimate floor of Ganon's Tower.
Oh, and I am absolutely not a fan of this torch room at all in any way, shape, or form. Horrible, horrible room.
Space Cowboy didn't... Oh, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, Space Cowboy actually didn't need to pick up that magic pod because he did have full magic. Or not full magic. He didn't have enough magic with the half magic. And, we can just grab the full magic pod in this upcoming room. along with probably powdering these two, well, this anti-fairy and this bunny beam to get 2 free fairies. So we'll see how nice Moldorm 2 here is for us today.
Yeah. The only thing he can really have in his chest that would be of any use at all would be Butter Sword. So I think that's very unlikely to be checked.
Yep, Space Cowboy making it through this fight without falling, which is good for
Super
him.
clean fight.
Trenter is having a bit of trouble here in Gauntlet, though. Space Cowboy opting to skip out on the last chest in the game. You said it could have had Butter Sword, which, if you have good execution on Ganon, the time difference between Tempered Sword and Golden Sword, Butter Sword, is negligible or not even there.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you're always going to check. Well, I say you're always going to check it. I would always check it if I have Master Sword or missing Silver Arrows, just because the time save is huge for those.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you have Master Sword or below, you'd want to check that, or if you're missing Silver Arrows.
Space Cowboy was making some pretty good Aga deflections there. Sort of stumbled a wee bit there in that one, but he is back to his winning ways. That was very, very nice round there.
That was a good Aga 2, I gotta say. So Space Cowboy is going to be entering the Ganon fight at around maybe 146, 45-ish, 40 to 45-ish. Oh, maybe closer.
Going for the safety cape strats for the fire bats anyway. Another strat I wholly approve of. I am not a fan of the circling bats in any way, shape, or form.
So Space Cowboy is probably going to get a couple cycles in these first 2 phases of Ganon. Again, if you're experienced with, say, the NNG route, you can minimize that to 1 cycle apiece. Especially if I think it might require a bit of luck for the second phase, but I think each pattern you could potentially get can be minimized to 1 cycle.
And I think, in fact, that's was that what he got, or was there a 2 cycle in the first pattern?
I believe he got.
Certainly an excellent phase 2 anyway.
Yeah. It was a bit surprising. The cape strats can allow you to get more spin hits on Ganon than you would typically be able to do.
Just missing out in the torch glitch there. I don't think it's going to hurt him at this stage of the game.
No, we're going to get an easy double here, finishing off Ganon, and
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's it for Space Cowboy.
Yeah,
All he has to do is head north into the Triforce room.
Please don't fall.
Don't pull a Willard.
If there's a chance of it happening, there's always going to be one runner that does it. But no, well done, Space Cowboy. That was a very good execution at the end of the run.
Yeah, and Space Cowboy has finished with an SRTV time of 148.13. Good game to Space Cowboy. We'll see
Absolutely.
if he wants to.
Space Cowboy.
We'll see if he wants to pop in for a quick interview. And Trenter is not too far behind. He did fall to Moldorm 2, unfortunately. So, a little bit further behind than we would have probably liked to see.
Yeah, especially given how synced up these players were in the route into Ice Pass.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see if Space Cowboy wants to head in here. I know a lot of runners, myself included, will run off to go take a quick break immediately after a race as harrowing as this.
No, you can't deny the runners a short comfort break. Absolutely not.
And Trenter is heading into Ganon as well. We'll see how well this fight goes. Don't see the cape coming out just yet, but could still be in the cards. Good game, Space Cowboy. You're on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you. That's if you are talking and aren't just ignoring us completely.
Oh, okay. Restreamer says we're gonna wait on the interview. So, yeah, we'll probably just interview both of them at the same time.
Which is not going to be too far away at all.
Yeah, so we're into the third phase on Trenter's side. Gets those silver arrows out. Does get double hit by one of those fire bats. Down to 3 hearts, so I think we're in danger of dying to a Ganon hug. Hopefully that doesn't come to pass. We don't have a fairy.
We do have 2 blue potions, though.
Yeah, well, 1 blue potion.
1. Didn't see when or did he not pick up the other one in Turtle Rock, or did he just use it? Must have used it.
All right, so we're going to be entering the final phase on Trenter's screen. Opting not to get the first hit in, opting to do the torch glitch, which is a lot safer if you're less comfortable with your silver arrow hits. Does get a good double.
Yeah, it was very nicely done.
Fortunately, like 1 frame too early to grab another silver arrow hit. But it looks like we're going to be finishing it up. Yep. Final hit.
The death blow to Ganon.
And that's it. That's GG for Trenter. We're going to be seeing if he wants to hop in for an interview.
And that was with an official time there of 1:52:27.
Yep. And we do have Trenter here in chat, so good game, Trenter.
Yeah, GG, guys.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
So that was a really that was probably closer for a lot of it than you thought.
Yeah, I had that one item in Eastern Palace hanging over my head because I was banking on Armos having the final one, and the death was like, I'm not committing that much time back, and then nothing turned up for forever. It felt like.
Mm-hmm. So I guess just to inform you, you guys were more or less synced going into Ice Palace. And I think you only had maybe 15 to 30 seconds of a disparity between the two of you leaving Ice Palace. I would say the biggest thing was that Trenter did go off and buy a blue potion, and also had a mini Moldorm fall. But
yeah,
where was the flute at?
It was in
Hookshot Cave.
Okay, yeah. I kind of just checked what was nearby in Ice Palace and said, well, I know where, I grabbed Ether on the way into it. So I was just kind of banking on the fact it was either Ether or Bombos for Turtle Rock and went straight to it.
Yeah, and on that note, actually, I have to ask Trenter, That was very, very brave of you to ignore Bombos on the in the Dark World. Yeah, I forget the name of the item now. Bumper Cave.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you did that?
I was like, come on, what's the chance?
Yeah, well, at that point, you were still missing the fire rod, so I believe you were just a mitts away from being able to enter Ice Palace, which is why it was especially scary to see you skip that.
Yeah, I personally was like, medallion, I'll take it. I have to do Turtle Rock at some point, so it wasn't too bad of a detour. I grabbed it. That's right, I grabbed it on the initial Dark World. Clearing Kakariko Village, I'm like, I have Dark World access, and then I put it off until I did more Light World checks.
Yeah, you in particular, I want to know what your aversion is to Palace of Darkness.
It wasn't so much an aversion as I remembered that I left an item in Eastern Palace. And with that hanging over my head, I'm like, well, if I don't pull up anything out of pod, then I have to go back into Eastern. But I still have these other items available to check. I almost save and quit at the boots, too. I was very happy I did not.
Yeah.
That would have been a disaster.
There were a few locations that were very critical that you continue onward instead of taking the gamble and leaving the dungeon. Swamp Palace being one of them. You know, you had Desert Palace. You had the Pyramid Ferry, which I don't think you ever checked.
No, I did not. I had enough items coming out of Desert that I felt comfortable just going through dungeons at that point.
Okay. And Trenter, were you feeling that you were behind earlier on? Because you skipped out on Hera entirely, which felt really scary, especially considering how I don't know if I want to say it was a linear seed so far or at that point, but it was
It didn't
all
give
you
very
had.
many options.
Yeah, you had like East Death Mountain and Hera, and that's it.
I was like, okay, if I don't find something in East Death Mountain, then I have to go into Hera. But I wanted to check there, and then I got the one item, and I was like, yes, goodbye.
Yeah, that turned out to be it was one of the clutch plays actually, because whenever Space Cowboy went into Hera, he picked up the book giving him desert access, and then you went to EDM, and then you picked up the flute giving you desert access. Like it was the same thing from two different directions, and it was difficult to watch at some points. It was very exciting.
Yeah, you both entered Go mode without the actual items necessary and with different sets of items to beat the seed.
Yeah, I didn't find Titans until late, and that was kind of starting to freak me out just a little bit.
God.
Yeah, we had some, I don't know if they were rage slashes or like joy slashes from Trenter upon finding that flute.
Oh, I was so joyful. It was like, is that Go mode?
Yeah, a seed like this with so many blank spaces in your inventory, it's really, unless you like memorize where all the items are, which I mean you probably should anyway, but it's really easy to not internalize, oh wait, I actually have everything I need.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I had a good attack plan in mind, and then I forgot that in the Eastern Palace Dark Room, you need to be facing upwards to unlock locked doors, which is why I ended up dying in that room apparently. And then my planning just kind of fell underneath me from that point.
Yeah. Trenter had some issues in Eastern Palace. I believe you died once, or Space Cowboy, you died once in Eastern Palace in that room, and Trenter died twice. And I think Trenter also opened the door before dying too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. I forgot you had a hold up, which is why I died the first time, because I was sideways the entire time.
Cool. So is there anything else? Any other comments you want to make about this seed? in general, or?
It was an interesting one. They had very few key spots you had to go. The game opened up early on, but even though it opened up as it did, everything was kind of like waiting on pod, pretty much. It felt like is what it seemed to be.
And Trent, or anything else?
Yeah, pod was like the thing. I got the boots. I was like, that doesn't open me to something. So there's something else in here. And thank God I actually completed it.
Yeah. Good match. Good match, Trent.
Good match.
Yeah, and this is just the first round in Swiss. I believe Trenter, that was your first round. I don't know if you weren't in the Key Sanity tournament, were you?
No, this is like my very first race of Randomizer. I never did any dailies, never any other tournaments. Like, this is the first tournament I wanted to go in there and be like, okay, let's have some fun. And yeah, it was apparently then close in the end.
Cool. And great. So just to wrap up, just want to give a shout out to our restreamer Zonus. Want to give our shout out to our tracker. Who's our tracker? Sorry about that. Our tracker Epic Yoshi, but I believe they might have had to step out. And I would also like to give a shout out to Spiral, co-commentator.
Yeah, and most importantly, the runners as well, Spacecowboy2011 and Trenter TR. Great run, guys. Great run. Sub 2s for both of you. Fantastic.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Cool. And I guess that's about it. We're going to be closing up shop. I guess we're already sending you off to another race on Speed Gaming 2. So I guess go there if you want to see another race, which is OPT Lawyer versus Claris.com.